also make sure we get the catering down and a few other things. Let me also write that down.
I think what we can stick to what we did last time.
Yeah, I forget which part Christina.
Whoever else is here will show up ASAP.
Remember yours?
Like to read out them?
Just because that's a presenter view, and this will show us what's like there next.
Okay, I think we should go.
Yeah.
Cool. How are we feeling this morning? Because it's real dark on this side, so I don't know if everyone's feeling sleepy or. Ooh, that's a bright light. Never mind. I'm awake now. This is not dark yet. Okay, cool. And I didn't get the chance of hearing your guys' names earlier. I'm Tanya, Marisa. What are both of y'all's names?
William.
William.
Wange.
Cool. Okay. Y'all ready to get started and learn everything there is to learn about marketing ever? No. Okay, we're gonna take you through it real quick. Our goal is to make this fun and exciting and hopefully simple to understand. Before we get started, our boss Christina couldn't make it today, so it's just going to be us. But I'm a marketing specialist. I've had 5 years of experience working in marketing professionally. My background is in multicultural marketing and specifically integrated marketing, which we'll go into later what all that means and stuff. Marisa, do you want to introduce yourself too?
Yeah, my name is Marisa. I'm the marketing and communications coordinator. I've been dabbling in marketing really since undergrad. Just being in a bunch of like student organizations, you kind of have to put different hats on. So it's mainly started with social media and flyer making. And a congratulations in marketing for a small business out here in the Bayview. And after that, I started as a social media specialist, I think. It's been a while. Coaching 3 years at YCD, so yeah, started with social media, now marketing communications coordinator.
Okay, cool. So before we start from basic stuff from scratch, because this is only a 2-person class, I will be picking on y'all. What do you know about marketing?
You can find it in the market.
Sure. Yeah, that is the origins of the word, right? You are in a market. How do you stand out with your products? If it's like fruits that you're selling, truly, how do you stand out from the other vendor who's also selling apples or peaches and stuff? So that is the origin. What else do we know about marketing?
Yeah, like you said, it's important to advertise, to be able to advertise your brand, your services, goods, and to do it in such a way to where you draw in customers and create a recurring customer base.
Oh, that's good. You're touching on a lot of really important points. Is there anything else that you know about marketing?
I think of it as a way we communicate to others about who we are and signal our call to them and what we want them to do, what decision we want them to take.
Definitely. Moving them towards an action that we want to take. So you guys are, without knowing it, using a lot of technical language that we do as marketers every day. So I'll share with you the definition that I grew up learning, or that I learned in college, and this is what sticks with me. So a lot of the times when you think about marketing, it's the selling, it's the advertising piece of things, right? It's, I have this thing, I have this nonprofit, I have this product, please buy, please come and join us. This is the definition that we like to go off of, and if you go into YCD's social media, if you look on our website and any of our other pieces of marketing, you'll see that this is reflected pretty closely. So I'm going to break this down for you. So marketing is the process. Note that it's not a function, it's not a one-time thing, it is a process. It is a continuous process of creating and communicating value. So I'm going to break that down for a second. You guys have value that you are trying to bring to the community as nonprofits, right? The value is to do this and send that out into the world. So you create that value, but what's equally important is how you communicate it out to people. And as you do that, you're doing what you talked about, building healthy customer relationships. So an unhealthy customer relationship is like a multi-level marketing scheme, or being predatory with someone, saying, well, just please, come buy this product. No, it's on a discount. Please. You're forcing them to do it, right? That doesn't encourage someone to want to engage with us, to want to build that long-time partnership. So that's not necessarily healthy. We're trying to build customer relationships that will last a full lifetime. And there's a marketing term, lifetime value. So if you meet with someone, so if you engage with Jermaine and Naya and you're like, wow, this is really awesome, you become best friends with them for life. You become colleagues with them for life. You get the full value of engaging with them in this partnership for a lifetime. So bring the healthy customer relationships in order to do what? Generate value for the organization, so the organization is you. But what's this other thing in the bottom? For our community. When you think of marketing, right, if I have a product, if I'm trying to sell you this blender, and I'm like, all right, here's this blender, please buy it. The value that I get is, okay, cool, I get money. You get a blender. That doesn't necessarily generate value for the third other person, the company, the consumer, and the wider community. What you do inherently serves the community because you are a nonprofit. But if one of your nonprofits is to go and serve, I believe you said it's educating kids, right? If you educate those kids then go on to secondarily educate the rest of their family. They educate other kids around them. There's a communal benefit to that. So marketing is also about not just saying, hey, come and join my nonprofit, but hey, join my nonprofit because this is the value that you also will generate for the community. So it's all three of these people that we're considering: the community, the organization, and the wider consumers. So the people who you are servicing. Any questions on this definition so far? No? Does this feel like a good definition for what you're trying to do? Cool. Yeah, we try and detract from like the selling aspect of what marketing is. So this is a fun thing that we did last time. There's only two of us here as well, but have you heard of an elevator test before, or an elevator pitch? Cool. What do we know about an elevator pitch?
Trying to sell or describe yourself or your products within 30 seconds.
So remember what we just talked about in our definition? We're moving away from the selling aspect of it. So if it's the elevator, we're going to do a fun exercise that we did this time last year as well. So if either of you is brave enough, would one of you like to stand up and come and join me?
Go and join you.
Stand up and join me. Okay, cool. So this is our version of the elevator pitch. Just want to come over and stand next to me here. So imagine that we are on a horizontal elevator right now, right? And you are joining me on like a travelator, like in an airport. We're going to walk the length of this table. We'll walk pretty slowly, but let's estimate we have like 30 seconds to walk down it, okay? I would like to learn a little bit about your nonprofit. So you have my attention, I'm a captive audience, for about 30 seconds. So we're gonna slowly walk and just tell me anything about your nonprofit.
Ooh, okay.
I know, I'm putting you on the spot, but don't worry, we'll go through an exercise later. So you ready?
3, 2, 1. Thank you for giving me an opportunity.
No worries.
We're working with children 14 to 17, helping them to read critically, to be able to write clearly and speak confidently. And we'd love you to be involved in our program and help us elevate children here in San Francisco.
Oh, do you want to go teach the presentation or?
Oh, no.
That was good. No, that was good. So you missed the first part, which was who you were.
Oh.
That's okay. That's okay. That's why we have this format. But that was really good. You had a lot of alliteration in what you were describing that your nonprofit does. You had a specific invitation at the end, right? We'd love you to be a part of it. Potentially being more specific in what being a part of it means is that donating time or energy or money? Is that participating by spreading information about your nonprofit to other people? So an easy format, it's very similar to what you did, is who are you? That's who you are as a person in the elevator, right? With this metaphorical CEO or funder or potential person to join your nonprofit. Who are you and who is your nonprofit? So very simple. What is your name? And ask the other person their name as well. The thing we like to say in marketing and sales is the most beautiful thing to say is someone else's name. So if you repeat their name alongside your mission, it reinforces the idea that you are trying to join them with your mission. So who you are, what you are, so you did that great. What you are is that little short 2-sentence descriptor of we are a nonprofit that serves the blah, 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 blah. Everything is unique there. It has to be unique so you stand out from other nonprofits. Who you are, who do you serve? So you do this for who? So for you, it was you educate kids. Why do you do it? So what need are you servicing? Right, you can educate kids, cool. What need does that serve for your community? Is it I educate kids in the baby area? Is I educate kids in this area, of this age, of this demographic? What need does that serve? And then something called a USP, not a USB, a USP. Have we heard the term USP before? Mm-hmm. No? You know when you see ads and they go, our product is like this, so our product is the best. When you say something is the best, you are separating it. So it's that market phenomenon that we talked about. A USP stands for unique selling point or unique product point. A USP is what is unique about your organization to the community. Specifically as a nonprofit, what social problems are you addressing? Right? What is the unique, the education is too broad of an issue potentially. You could be more specific and narrow it down if you would like to. That makes you more memorable in someone's head. So let's say if I needed a job, right? And I was like, hey, I need a job. You'd be like, okay, I don't know anyone who I can help you with. But if I said, I need a job in marketing in South San Francisco, helping out the baby community, you go, okay, cool. I might know a guy, I might know someone. So you're able to more specifically tell me if you can help me, if you can engage with me, or if you can't, right? And that's what people in your nonprofit can do. So what need you're servicing, what's distinctive about your program, and then ultimately, and this is where you have to be a little bit pessimistic. You are in an elevator, you're trapped with someone for 30 seconds, hypothetically, or you're walking across with them for a little bit. Why should they care? At the very end of this, when you walk away, when you potentially never see this person again, you need to leave them with the reason of, all right, so what? Why did I care about this? Why did I waste 30 seconds of my hypothetical time as a very important person? Why did I care about this? If you say, and I know you care because you had this personal experience, or I know you care because you also are involved in this community work. I know that you care because this, it forges that loop connection of this is who I am, this is why you care, and then this is the invitation. This is why you care about education, so you should invest in my nonprofit, you should do to donate notebooks for blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? Making sense? Okay. We're gonna do a quick exercise. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes. Fill this out and come up with your elevator test. And this time you're on the chopping block to try and do an elevator test.
Chopping.
All right? You're on the,
I'm on the pitching block.
pitching block. You're up the, I don't know sports metaphors. The diamond?
Yeah, I'm on deck.
Oh, no.
Baseball, I'm on deck.
Right.
Slides. I think I have an actual content of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs
Ooh.
for me to see here.
Okay.
And then for me to plug it here. I think this one, did you create this one?
Mhm.
Okay. I think it makes more sense for you coming back here then.
Okay,
And
so
then
you want to come in at 7?
I'll come in at 7 and then do till 10 and then pick back up at 12.
Okay.
Until maybe here.
Sure.
And then we'll talk to this one and then I can go through the rest of them.
Okay. So after 7 you come in, I come back at 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
7,
7, 11.
7, 11, 16.
Got it.
I just think.
That works with me?
Yeah, it just makes more sense.
About 90 more seconds.
What?
Time goes fast.
That fast?
It's an elevator, y'all. Got 30 more seconds. Five, four, three, two, one. Ta-da.
That's too fast.
Okay, it's real quick. It's real quick. Y'all are the experts on your brand, on what you do, right? So you should be able to do it. We're just giving you a format to work with it. Feel ready to try and take a walk with me?
Sure.
Let's go. Let's try. Your final grade is based upon. No, I'm kidding. Oh, cool. You didn't even need the computer. Okay, impressive. Impressive. All right, ready to start? My name is Tanya.
That's right.
Okay, ready? You have this up on the screen too. I know it's a little smaller, but you have it to refer to if you want. So try and hit all 6 of them by the time you reach the end of the table. Oh, wow. So ready? 1, 2, 3.
How you doing, Tanya?
I'm doing
My name
good.
is William Palmer. I'm the CEO of Studio 3 to the Third Power. We create memorable, conscious murals and remove disturbing graffiti. We add beauty to the community and a sense of belonging and ownership. And what we need is investment in order to hire youth offenders out of incarceration. And what we make a difference is that we create purpose for our youth. And why you should remember, because a youth with a purpose is a youth that won't rob your car.
Okay. Cool. All right. You hit all of the points. I would say you missed one thing. So you're talking about art, right, and graffiti. Genuine question. Looking at me, why do you think I would care about that?
You have a sense of style. It looks like you
Mention that.
take pride in how you dress.
Mention that.
So for example, well, the first time I met Jermaine, I was like, okay, I see it. There's the boss energy there. There's the entrepreneurship there. Jermaine and I talked about designing a website, I think, for like 20 minutes the first time I met him. And I could do that because I could find a sense of commonality there and I commented on it. Not saying, I know you and I have this in common, but saying, hey, I can see that you have this in common. This is a potential thing to bridge a relationship with. So if you're talking about art, if you're talking about saving the community, you may already know that about me if you are researching me as like a CEO or a very important person you're trying to get to engage with you. Mention that you know that. If you know that I have like a golden retriever and you also have a pet, mention that. It's the smallest things that allow you to bridge that connection. So if you're talking about graffiti and removing disgusting, using the word disgusting, as well you're placing a value judgment on it where, you don't know, maybe I love graffiti.
That's true.
You have no idea.
I couldn't
So
think of a word off.
that's okay. I know. It was a very quick exercise.
Yeah.
So here's one of the reasons why we do this.
I'm watching.
Like we said, y'all are the experts on your brand. Are both of y'all solo entrepreneurs? Do you have a team around you or with you?
I'm sorry.
Solo?
I have a team.
Team. Okay, cool. So let's ask you as a team. Do you think if we put this exercise to your team, that they'd be able to say something similar to what you said? Interesting.
Interesting.
So that's part of what we call personal branding, or in this sense, corporate branding. But we do another exercise. We don't have to do it now, but just think of it in your own lives. You can do this with Jermaine and I. You can do this with people in your own lives as like family and friends. You can do this with other entrepreneurs, even with each other. If I asked you, what are the 3 words that best describe your nonprofit, quality-wise? What words do you have? And are those the same 3 words that other people think of? That shows you alignment. Not only do you know who you are, but is what you're putting out being received in that same way. And it's a great exercise to do for yourselves as individuals, to do it given that you are solo entrepreneurs or at least the face of your organization. But it's good to see if there's that alignment within your team, even if you're trying to grow your team as well. Cool. So this is another tool that we have. It's called a position statement. Y'all have heard of like mission statements, vision statements. A position statement is pretty similar, but a position statement works in the mind of someone. So if you tell me your mission is to change the world by blah, 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 that's cool. That tells me what you're driving to do. It's what's in your heart. A vision statement is what you're looking at in your head, right? What you're looking for towards the future. A positioning statement is in the mind of someone else. Where do I see this fitting in? So if we take this as an example, right? Let's take YCD. YCD is a community-based organization that does this, to do this, designed to do this, for this. It is packaging everything in that elevator pitch that we talked about, but why do I care? What should YCD be positioned as in my mind? Should I position it as a super well-funded, super highly corporate organization that never engages with the community? No, right? Should we position it as a complete startup? It's also not that. To make sure we accurately present what we're talking about with our organization, and that is reflected in our mind. So if I leave this presentation and I go, okay, cool. Well, I remember that organization talked about, okay, there was graffiti in there, but they had this particular stance. That's how it is positioned in my mind. Not just where I think about it, but how I think about it in relation to other nonprofits, in relation to other corporate entities, in relation to other things in my life. Where does it live in my mind, and is that the way that you want to be thinking about it? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on that so far? No? We're good? Okay, cool. So, here's another thing to consider. How do you interact with your customers? So you mentioned your customers are kids, I believe? Okay. And your customers are?
Mine?
Mm-hmm.
Probably commercial real estate.
Okay, commercial real estate.
Like up buildings, put murals and things.
Okay, yeah, and you can think of customers here as being the community members specifically that you serve. And there are also key opinion leaders or key influencers. So I'll give you a very simple example. When I think of Nike, who's the first person that you think of?
Michael Jordan,
Cool. Why?
because he made him famous.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
His shoes,
Shoes.
his brand. Yeah. Just Michael Jordan. He's
Just
a brand
Michael Jordan.
itself. Yeah,
So think about that. That's how synonymous, when you think of Nike, you immediately think of Michael Jordan. Now, if I was trying to sell Nike shoes to, let's say, a young black kid, maybe he's like 15, I could use Michael Jordan to sell Air Jordans, or I could to sell any Nike shoe to that kid. Why? Because that kid values Michael Jordan's opinion. If Michael Jordan says, actually, I don't really like Nike, I'm going to go with Adidas, I'm going to go with Puma, that kid values that opinion. So when you engage with your customers and you interact with them, consider everything about what they're thinking about. Because you as an entrepreneur, as a nonprofit leader, you're only really focused on your business. But when you interact with other people, you have to consider what is the context in which they are engaging with you. Who else influences them? If you first come in to pitch a potential funder, and they've got a bunch of things on their mind, they're worried about their own funding, they're considering other options. If you talk, well, say, I actually engage with this person who you care about and respect. I talked to your former mentor, actually. I engage with people around your periphery. You are inserting yourself into their lives in a way that feels potentially easier, a little bit more friendly, right? You guys believe and trust in our ability to teach you about marketing because Jermaine and I believe in our ability to do that. If we just rocked up, you'd be like, who are these people? I don't know anything about them. And we can tell you, but they can tell you about us better. They can tell you about us in a way that feels more familiar. So when we're interacting with you, we have the knowledge that, okay, you might trust us a little bit because we have this pre-established relationship. So when you're interacting with that, it's about how you show up there and what you know. Your knowledge is power, and that is a marketer. So you have that piece, and you also have how you show up. If your nonprofit is talking about something really sensitive, something really like devastating in the community, you're talking about like some crime focus, maybe like we have a nonprofit under YC that focuses on Black women who face domestic violence, for example. They take a very specific tone in the way they communicate what their nonprofit does. Because if they were super like, yeah, we do this, that there's a disconnect in the way that they're presenting it, right? If you're talking about graffiti, if you're talking about education, you can do certain marketing things to reinforce that fact. I think there was someone who filled out the form who talked about specifically like elevating the idea of like the African diaspora within, was that you or was that someone else? Was it? Okay. So I think that's something that's really cool that you can reflect in the way that you dress and the way that you talk about things. If you want to include certain pieces of language that reinforce all these different ideas. If I walked up to you today, I would approach you differently than I would approach someone who was from another country, from another background. I speak Mandarin fluently. Y'all wouldn't know that because I'm not approaching you, I'm not speaking fluent Mandarin to you, right? There's a difference in the way that I interact with you because I'm code switching there versus how I would engage with someone else. So consider how you do that with your customers. If you've had a bad day, I know it's real rough. You'll be like, hi, yes, here's our presentation for funding. Like, the way that you show, you can't make a first impression twice. And in marketing, that's super, super, super important if you're showing up physically, if you're showing up online. Just all things to consider.
Unless the person has Alzheimer's.
Unless they have Alzheimer's. That may be out of our control, potentially. But I'm gonna let you take over the rest of it.
Okay.
You're fine, man. Yoshi.
Right, exactly.
That might not be within our scope.
So another incredibly important aspect of marketing is storytelling and the importance of it in marketing, right? So when we talk about nonprofit storytelling, we're talking about stories that involve real people or situations. So these things are shared by nonprofits to their audience to get them to do things like donate or volunteer or even just to be an influencer in your community. An example that we heard in the past around our EPA JRT program was, throughout the entire program, people are sharing their stories of how they came to be in the program, the circumstances that they're coming from, how they heard about EPA JRT, and just the motivational stories that they're being told by maybe Doc or by past participants, right? So these people get these jobs and then they go into their communities and they tell these stories about YCD and all the work they're doing on social media. People post videos or post graphics of people talking about their services. That's an important aspect of storytelling too. On people's websites, they'll have a testimonial tab where people can go and look and say, look, these people are actually doing the work. They're not just posting the numbers. These are real people behind these testimonials. These are people that can speak to the specifics of what the organization is providing. So storytelling is an essential part of nonprofit communication, and it helps connect with donors, build trust, especially in community, right? We've also found that in the baby, you can't just come in and be like, look, I have these services, come get some services, like come get service by us. A lot of times you need to have that social capital, right? Like you can't ever just pop up in someone's hood claiming to be something or doing something. So it's important for folks to have a process to collect stories efficiently and ethically. And so when we say ethically, we don't mean, if you're working with the homeless population, just taking photos and videos of them in incredibly sad situations. We're not doing that. We're getting their consent, letting them know that they can revoke consent at any time, and allowing them to take charge of telling their own story and not doing it for them, right? Whether that's good or bad, we need to be open to hearing the nuances. Ultimately, it's not beneficial for someone to post a bad testimonial on their nonprofit page, right? It could be if your persona is more transparent, or if strategically you're like, we recognize that we've done this wrong, here's how we're going to do better moving forward. You would do it in that sense, but it doesn't really make sense to post a bad testimonial.
You want me to go next time?
Yes, please. So yeah, stories and quotes are some of the most powerful tools you have on hand as a nonprofit organization. Again, you need physical proof that you're engaging in the work. These testimonials can be video, audio, pictures. So here in this box, I touched on some of that already, but collect stories ethically and with permission. Make sure to focus on a specific service you provide that impacted the individual in a positive way. So for your org, you mentioned businesses and people in certain neighborhoods, like the benefit to them, right, would be that people are not illegally painting on their buildings, right? Things that they don't want there, or breaking into people's cars, right? If folks have seen a decrease in that type of behavior, those would be the people that you would reach out to get testimonials. But you're also working with formerly incarcerated folks and giving them an outlet, a creative outlet for their pain or their joy, right? So those would be the folks that you would say, look, like, if you're comfortable telling us about, you know, how our work has impacted you in a positive way, we would love to feature it, right? There's ways that you can do this, you know, anonymously as well, just by taking the text of what they're saying and posting it somewhere. Because I know with SENDI, our community economic mobility vehicle, we can't always just go in and take pictures of folks that are at events because of different, like, neighborhood squabbles, right? You want to protect, ultimately, it's about the protection of the people in your community, because no one's going to come to you if they know that people are looking for them, you know, after they've been at certain events of yours, right?
Right.
So it's always about just making sure you have that consent. Yeah, using negative feedback to improve, and then being honest and transparent. So one amazing example, she was actually here last year, I think, volunteering with, I think they're like the dance company on 3rd Street, I think.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. It is.
Yeah, so Beauty to the Streets. I'm sure these numbers have, like, skyrocketed since we first created this PowerPoint last year. But she's got 4.8 million followers on TikTok, 335K followers on Instagram. So TikTok and Instagram, she's also, like, making money and using money from all those views to help her in her mission. She's got 3K subscribers on YouTube and 500 people on patrons on Patreon, which is a subscription service, a tiered subscription service. So what she does is she has a truck full of resources, food, showers, clothing, and I believe she's LA based, and she posts up in Skid Row. And a lot of her content is her handing these things out, talking to folks, giving them hugs, like just treating them like human beings as she's providing these services to them. And people really resonate with that, because she doesn't have this hero savior complex. She's like, we're the same. I'm just in a position where I can help you, and that's what I'm doing. So people will come, you know, going through a mental health crisis, or maybe just went through something traumatic the night before, and they start getting loud and angry with her, and she's like, no, hold on, like, let's talk about this. You know, like, she comes at it with a very humanistic approach, instead of saying, well, you can't have my services because you're acting up, right? She also looks out for the other folks. You know, if there's one person causing harm to another person, that, like, in line that she's serving, like, she's quick to check them and be like, you know, that's not okay, like, that's not cool. And I think people appreciate how real and how, like, honest her content is, and that's why she's got 4.8 million followers on TikTok, because they live
5.5 now.
5.5 million followers on TikTok. People love to see that. They love to see the authenticity. No one wants to see, I don't know, there were a bunch of videos going viral, like, years ago, with people, like, buying, like, In-N-Out and like just giving it to people, like, on the street, like, no, like, hey, how are you doing, like, it's just, here, I have food for you. You don't know if that's what that person wants, okay? You don't know if they're like maintaining a vegan diet still, like, you don't know what's going on. She's able to be, like, personable, but also she gets to know the community. Like, this is coming from like an authentic love and care for the community, and that is being reflected in her content. So if you want, you can check her out. She's amazing. Yeah.
I know 17 people who follow her.
Yeah,
And
she's
Instagram went to 652K.
652.
That's
Let's
almost
update
double.
that now.
Right.
5.5.
5.5 and 652. Yeah. So your storytelling should be relatable, educational, and memorable. All right. Now, promoting for events. This is more on the, like, it's like marketing and comms and design all together. So, do y'all create content for your social media?
You
Kinda.
have an Instagram, we know that. Do you have social media? Okay.
Yeah. So you're creating your own content, or you're like outsourcing?
Outsourcing half the time.
Yeah. So from like a
A marketing agency?
yeah.
Or-
No, as people who reach out to us and they do the whole like design and the stuff.
Cool. I think last time we were working with folks who didn't have. I think they were doing all of it themselves too.
Or they didn't have any social media.
Yeah, true. They were like building out a website only. So you have events. We have this piece here that's just like a do's and don'ts kind of making event flyers on your own. We'll talk about more of the like resources and stuff you can use to make your own flyers. Like the different platforms is the word I was looking for. So we created all this beautifulness like on Canva, right? If you have folks that use Photoshop, they can do that. We don't know how to do that yet, but your event flyer should include a call of action.
Yeah.
Avoid using too much information, or I would say too much wording. You want your event to have as much of like accurate information as possible, but you don't have to use a lot of words to do that, right? So we've got on this one, right, we've got a gorgeous like layout first, and it's clear to read, right? Depending on whether you're posting it on, like it's a flyer that you're handing out physically or that you're emailing, you'll want to have a QR code maybe where people can scan it. If it's on social media, people are already using their phones, so you're not going to want to use a QR code there. A link is always best.
You can't.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like how is that going to work? Unless I've got two phones. I do have two phones.
One
So
that's
how
a
do you do
mirror.
that? How do you do the link? Because sometimes it's too long.
Yeah, so you could use Bitly. Have you heard of Bitly?
It's a URL shortener. So if
How do you spell it?
bit.ly, and there are, if you just type in URL shorteners, there's a whole variety. But we'll
Yeah.
we'll take you through some stuff once we do like the one-on-one sessions afterwards.
Yeah, so we have clearly, what it is, who's hosting it. We have kind of a short description of like what's going to be talked about. We have the date, the time, the place, and then we have the person that was in charge of organizing it. And of course, our logo, which is easily recognizable, right? So while you're creating, you always want to keep your audience in mind, right? You're not going to create something like simple using black and white colors if maybe you're marketing towards like children or like youth. You're going to want to incorporate some aspects of what it is that you're doing, right? If it's a basketball tournament, you'll want to have a basketball or some basketball court kind of design in there, right? Include your logo, of course. Use color schemes. This is a really big one. You both have logos, yes?
I'm an artist, so yeah, making it attractive colors.
Yeah. And
I
then
see so many flyers that are missing a lot of things, and I'm just like,
yeah, or like
you don't even have the time. Man.
yeah.
It's time.
It's like, how am I supposed to know where to go, when to find you, who am I looking for?
Address.
If I get lost, who am I supposed to call, right?
Downtown San Francisco. What's that? Where's that at?
Exactly. Or you have people, we see a lot of flyers in community that are dope, they're awesome, they're amazing, but then when they add our logo, it's got like a little white box outside of it. That's not cute. That's not cute. You want it to be cute. You want it to be like easily like that's a YCD made that. Like you would never catch us putting out any of our flyers. Not only because it's ugly, but it messes with the flow. My eye's gonna go to that and not to the rest of the information, right? So alignment is key when we talk about the color schemes too. Like that alignment of I don't know if this is what it's referring to. It's referring to alignment like spacing wise, because that's important too, right? You're gonna make sure everything's even.
Both types of alignment are important.
Yes, but then alignment to your brand as well. Your colors, the colors that you're using for your logo. If it's a bunch of colors, you can pick a few. right?
I do
Or
want to ask about the QR code.
Yeah.
I always have an issue with that because
Okay.
I'm like, who's supposed to use that? Because if I really see it on my phone, now I'm stuck, right? I can't do anything with my
Exactly.
phone. So what is the value in that if we are using it from our phone? If we are
So
just seeing
yeah,
it from our phone?
if you're posting the flyer on social media, we don't recommend using a QR code.
Okay,
If
good.
even if you're emailing it, people check their email sometimes, like on their phone. That can be
Mhm.
difficult to use a QR code. If you're doing printed flyers that you're hanging around the neighborhood,
Those have.
use a QR code, because that's the easiest way that someone can get like access to more of what you do or the information regarding the event.
Remember, the goal is not that they view your flyer. The flyer is informing them of something that you want them to do. If I see this on social media, my thing is not just, oh cool, swipe. It's, oh, this seems interesting, I want to attend, I want to RSVP, I want to donate, I want to sign up.
Yeah.
So you're leading them to something. So if it's to click on the link in their bio to go and subscribe, to do whatever. If it's scan the QR code so you can donate, that is the secondary thing. That's the call to action that Marisa was talking about. So a QR code only makes sense if you are leading them to something. It's also why you don't need that much text, because all you're
Yeah.
trying to do is get them interested and move them down towards something we'll call the marketing funnel. We'll go over that later.
Yeah.
Too much text, you can talk your customer out from coming.
Also true.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a whole slide is magic too, so you guys.
Yeah.
Well, we do practice what we preach.
It's like talk your shit.
Yeah.
Well, that would be whack, right? If we were like, we had a messed up presentation for y'all, and we were like, marketing is important.
Yeah.
Well, since you guys are good at what you do, a couple slides back, you misspelled the word I was going to point it out.
That's so funny.
That's embarrassing. Is there anything else you want to cover?
I think that's all.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, the leading somewhere. Yeah, anytime someone sees your flyer, they should be prompted to take action afterwards.
Okay, cool. Okay. And before I go into this, I'm gonna, because we're talking about it, I'm gonna introduce you guys to something called the marketing funnel. Have you heard of a marketing funnel before? Yes? No? Okay. Have we heard of like a regular funnel before? Right? So what does a funnel look like? Like that, right? It looks like that because it's wider at the top and narrow at the bottom. So in marketing, there are tons of different ways that we cut across this funnel horizontally, because you have this idea that we have all these people and we're trying to pour into this funnel and get as many people at the top and move them down towards a specific goal. So at the top of the marketing funnel is awareness. I can't buy from you. I can't join your nonprofit if I don't know about you, right? So I have to be aware of you. I have to be aware that there's a Warriors game happening. Once I'm aware, am I actually interested in it? I might be aware that there's a workshop happening, but does it interest me? No, I move on. So I leave that funnel. That's why it gets narrower and narrower and narrower. The ideal funnel looks like this, because all of the people who are aware of what you're doing are also interested, are also considering joining, and then actually do enjoy. The reality is like that, right? It's that V-shape. So if I'm aware of you, okay, cool, there's a Warriors game happening, or there's a Warriors workshop happening, I might be interested. I move on to being interested. Now I'm only interested, I'm like, that's kind of like when you're browsing, you're like, okay, this seems cool. Consideration is picking it up and actually looking into it. So for y'all, that's being aware that you are having a workshop and clicking into your website, reading more about you. It's that research type phase of, okay, yeah, I think I've heard about that. It's maybe the word of mouth of, have you heard about a studio to the third? I don't know. What do you know about it? It's that research of, all right, I'm considering it. I'm almost there. And then actually making that sale. Actually making them do what you want them to do, which is joining your nonprofit, donating, being a partner. And then afterwards, because we talked about healthy customer relationships, we're trying to loop them back. Not to the top of being aware again, but loop them back here at the bottom. That's called loyalty and brand advocacy. If you guys only came to one level up session, you'd be like, all right, cool, that was fun, and then you leave. If you came to multiple, if you followed through with the program, you might say, okay, cool, I really know what level up is about. I want to advocate for them. You're going to leave and you're going to be like, oh, dude, I did the level up program and it was awesome. I really love them. You become a brand advocate or a brand ambassador for them. And you want people to do that for your brand as well. Right? With me so far? So when you have a marketing funnel, when you're promoting your events, when you're promoting your organization, think of how you're doing that. So when you're promoting your organization, that's brand marketing. That's just getting people to know about your organization. That's a whole different beast to product marketing, or for y'all, service marketing. Being, hey, I'm aware of this service that they provide. I'm interested in it. I'm considering utilizing the service or informing other people of the service, and I'm actually using the service and becoming a loyalist to the service. Cool? Okay, now we go into integrated marketing. So we started at the very beginning saying that marketing was this and healthy customer relationships and all of that. But if we break it down, there are different ways that people do marketing. This is called integrated marketing or 360 marketing, where if you're at the center over here, there are tons of different channels. So ways that you can reach your consumer. That could be physically walking up to them and saying, hi, do you know about our organization? That's called PS, personal selling, or having a personal relationships. You could also get your stuff printed in a newspaper. That's PR, public relationships, right? Then you have advertising, you have general promotions like running a discount, running a fundraiser. Potentially you have the larger creative side of marketing, designing things. So there are a tons of different ways you can engage with your community. You do not need all of them. And at the stage of nonprofits that you are, it is unwise to try and use all of them. You have a limited amount of resources, whether it's manpower, time, or energy, or even just knowledge about how to market or how to best market. You have to find the right way to optimize for all of this. So you already know a couple, but let's broadly segment them into online and offline marketing. So online marketing sounds pretty simple. It's what we see all the time, right? With social media and websites, the easiest things that y'all can cover, right? A social media is just the idea that people use these apps online on a regular basis. You can go and join and be a part of their social feed to capture their attention potentially. You can also, if you grow a following like Beauty to the Streets, or if you go viral, which is very, very rare, and if you continue to grow that audience, you can be social with them. You can have a dialogue and conversation. It's going to be hard to manage that because that's a whole different segmentation of marketing, but it is a way to utilize that skill. Your website is your digital storefront. Do you guys have physical offices that you work from? Yes? No? Cool. So if you don't have one, your website is your physical office. It's them walking up to your doorstep trying to learn about you. So your website has to accurately reflect what you have going on, what events you have, what services do you have. If it is inaccurate, if it's outdated, you lose business. You lose the idea of someone saying, okay, well, they said this, but I see this. There's misalignment there. I don't trust them. Why should I engage with them? Why do I believe them? So you always have to keep things updated, which is very hard to do in a very fast tech world. There's also search marketing. So here's something interesting that we found. So your Instagram is Studio33rd, right? When we looked you up as part of research for this program, the first things that pop up are these earphones.
Yeah.
I believe you were not selling these Beats Studio 3 wireless noise canceling over-ear headphones.
Say I wasn't.
Cool. So if we search at, and this is us searching at studio.3.3, which is your Instagram handle, the first thing that pops up is this Amazon link. Second thing that pops up is another Amazon link. Third thing that pops up is it's a yoga studio. Fourth thing is another Apple thing. Only when we get to the fifth search result do we get your Instagram.
What?
So that is not your fault necessarily. It's just the fact that it has the word studio and 3, which to Google and to other search engines, they associate that with wireless headphones and product marketing. So that's called search marketing. If I search for you, can I actually find you? We take it for granted that if I search, what is the time in England today, right now, that Google will be able to tell me that. As algorithms change, as Google and Bing and Yahoo and all these different search engines, even TikTok and Instagram have become search engines now, right? You can go on Instagram and say, Black nonprofit, or nonprofit Bayview area. If I search that, do you show up? That is something that's a whole different school of marketing as well. So search marketing or search engine marketing or search engine optimization is the other part of it. So optimization is the idea that if someone searches up studio.3.3, so very specific, you want to make sure that you show up when they search those keywords. So if I search up level up, I might get something about gaming. I might get like Nintendo. I might get the song Level Up, right, with Sierra. I might not get the Level Up program. So when you communicate with customers, you have to also say, yeah, if you want, you can look us up on Google. We are a Level Up program. What if when you go back home, or what if when these consumers go back home, they go, what was that thing? Level Up, and they search for you and they can't find you? You've lost that person now. Potentially not forever, but you've lost that person. So search engine marketing is also important for these two things. If people find out about you directly because you told them, that's awesome. But if they search for you and they can't find this, they drop off. Events and email are also pretty straightforward. Events marketing is not just getting people to attend your regular workshops, it's primarily getting them to attend things so that you make a profit, so that you get something else from it. You're not hosting an event just for the event's sake. There's a specific purpose to it. So YCD has these business mixers that we host centered around housing and education and workforce. The goal is not just grab a bunch of our colleagues and other CBOs and have a great time. It's get them to network with each other and to associate the idea of community with YCD. To be able to foster that collaboration so that we can have a little part in it. So that we can potentially participate in another fundraising project, that we can participate in another community project together. There's a specific purpose to events marketing and the strategy to getting not only a lot of people to attend your events, but the right kind of people to attend your events. The specific people that you are trying to target, your target audiences, you want them to be able to attend your events. Email marketing is the same thing, just different game. You have, right now, you're either a 10,000 email in your inbox or 0 inbox kind of girl. I'm a 0 inbox kind of girl. So for me, if something is not part of what I want to see in my emails, it goes to spam. It gets deleted. It gets archived. It gets moved to the promotions tab. It gets moved to the social tab on Gmail. If you have Microsoft, you might not even be able to search for it. So when you send an email to someone, they're busy with other things. Why do they click on your email? And if they do click on your email, what is that secondary action you want them to take? So maybe you are sending an email to promote your event. If I never click on your email because it's not interesting enough, I haven't even learned about your event. Do you just send one email to remind someone about an event? For this event, I got 2 or 3 calendar reminders. I didn't need to open up the emails, but it gently reminded me, it gently nudged this idea that, oh cool, I have this event today. So, because of those emails, I'm reminded to attend this event. All these different things reinforce the way that we engage with each other. So that's all online marketing. Relatively straightforward. Offline marketing is probably what you're more familiar with as solo entrepreneurs, as people who've been in community, right? Handing out flyers. Some do not underestimate the power of just being on the corner saying like, hey, have you heard of this? Hey, have you heard of this? Or as you're networking with someone, you say, oh, it was great to meet you. Here's my... What do you normally hand out to someone when you're at an event? Something about this big.
A business card.
Business card. So we at YCD, we have online ones. We have digital versions of business cards, which are... And they're awesome, right? Because you're able to give someone something and say, cool, hey, I'm not gonna let this connection die out. I'm gonna actually have it continue. I'm going to move this thing forward down that funnel that we talked about. So you have handouts, and you can also do that to community members. If someone's unable to learn all about your business right now, all about your nonprofit, give them something, give them an action, give them a little bit of homework almost to move them to the next thing. So handouts there. Word of mouth is probably the most important one out of all of these for y'all. Because word of mouth is, what do people think about you when you're not in the room? When you're not there to defend your business. When you're not there to tell people about the best, most polished way that you can describe your organization. What do they know about you? The way that the community talks about you reveals so much more about what your business actually is like. As a marketer, the worst thing you can do is get myopic, or to have myopia. Myopia means one eye. Or being very short-sighted, being zeroed in like, okay, cool, I'm a nonprofit, I do this and do this. So much to the point that you forget about everything else that's around you there. So if you ever want to know how you're doing, a word of mouth survey or a word of mouth focus group, a word of mouth just little like poll is an easy way to see what people really think of your organization. Then branding is the most standard out of all marketing things. Branding is what you talked about in that marketplace, right? I have this fruit, you have this fruit. We are both selling the same product. How do we stand out? Well, mine has a stamp on it that says Tanya Sanjay Fruits. And it might be simple, but it still distinguishes me from someone else. And one way that you can brand yourself is in how you message, in how you're promoting that messaging of who you are. I might be Tanya Sundry Fruits, you might be William Palmer Fruits. But the messaging that we might have is, mine is, these are fruits fresh from, I don't know, India, or these are mangoes fresh from India, brought straight to you personally by me, or whatever. That's still messaging. I'm still communicating what makes my fruits different or unique than yours. What makes my nonprofit specific than yours. And who I'm giving that messaging to depends on that audience. The way that I'm talking to a funder, if you go to the YCD website, you'll see it's very different in the language that we use there versus on our social media. Because our funders aren't really looking at us on social media. They're looking at us on our website, and we know that, so we optimize for that. But on our social media, we're talking directly to community. And we're saying, hey y'all, are y'all coming through to the event tonight? We'll see you there. We're inviting, we're warm, we're friendly. But on our website, we are young community developers. We are blah, 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 blah. We change our tone and our messaging slightly. Merchandise is also something that's specifically very popular with the Black community.
Go high tops.
We talked about Nike and Air Jordans, right? I'll tell you this because my background's in multicultural marketing. The Black community will rep who they are and where they're from more than any other multicultural community in America.
Why is that?
Say that one more time.
The Black community will rep who they are and where they're from more than any other cultural community in America. More than any other racial segmentation in America. Specifically because of, honestly, the earlier conversation that y'all were having about origin and history and who you are, where you're from. This is a whole different historical conversation, but at least in our community in the Bay View, right? You have folks who have experienced gentrification, who've experienced racial abuse of the worst experiences that you can have to microaggressions. When you want to signal who you are, there's importance in that. What you believe in, there's an importance in that. After the George Floyd protest, as an example, right? People became very specific about looking into, okay, cool, do I want to shop at Nike? Well, they actually do support Black athletes in my community. They have this program. I believe in what they're doing beyond their product and their messaging, so I want to support them. You as nonprofits get to skip a small layer because you're inherently trying to help the community. However, if people engage with you, and again, they have a bad experience, they don't want to rep you like that, right? So if you move them in through that marketing funnel to that last layer of advocacy, that's when they start to want to rep you there. So we have YCD branded, I have like a little YCD keychain on my thing. Not just because I'm employed by them, it's because I am proud to work with them. I'm proud to work for them. If I wasn't, I wouldn't rep them like that. So you'll notice, especially in our community, there are lots of nonprofits and lots of nonprofits. The way that you present yourself is directly connotates to what you believe in. And that works for you as nonprofits. So that's how when we say you put your logo on something, when you put your brand colors on something, if someone does the same, if you ask someone to show up at an event wearing your brand colors, have you guys met Uncle Damien before? Well, you know, Uncle Damien has a very specific brand. He always wears a snapback. He always wears a piece of clothing, usually created by the community, or it's like a young clothing startup in the community. It's very specific to who and what he believes in, and what he's talking about connects with what he's saying. So that's merchandise. That requires a lot of funding and a lot of inventory planning as well. So you don't, again, not entirely necessary if you don't need to. Public relations is probably the most underutilized of all nonprofit marketing channels. You have newspapers, radio channels, which can engage the more senior folks in the community. You have other media channels that can elevate what you're doing. How many of y'all have heard about the grocery store that's popping up in the Bay View right now? The low-income free grocery store?
Yeah.
Cool. That is
Free groceries?
I haven't heard of that.
You haven't heard of it?
I have
It's in
not
the
even
Slack
heard of
channel.
Yeah, it just opened up
It's
this
like-
month.
It's in our Slack channel.
that. Really?
So it's an effort by the district 10 supervisor and collaboration with a bunch of CBOs to have a free grocery store for people who are extremely low income. That has received national coverage. I'm from Singapore. I have folks back home in Singapore telling me, isn't this where you work? Isn't this where this happening? So that's amplifying the effect of what's happening outside of your scope. You can only do so much of, this is my nonprofit, this is my nonprofit, this is my nonprofit. You have to get other people, not just the community to vouch for you, but these established channels who specialize in spreading the word. Maybe it's the San Francisco Chronicle, maybe it's BuzzFeed, it's whatever. And the organizations that you choose to rep you and present you like that also matter. Because if they're only covering X, Y, and Z content, that they're showing something, right? They're showing what they stand for as well. Focus on Black-led media organizations if you can. Focus on organizations who specifically market and reach your target audience as well. So you don't have to use all of these. I would pick 3. Pick 3 to start out with first. Get really good at them, and then move on to the rest. So it might be websites, emails, and merchandise for you. It might be handouts, word of mouth, and public relations. It can be a mix of online and offline. It can be just one or the other. But pick one thing first and get really well known on it there. In one day, how many times do you think someone is trying to market to you? Whether it's an ad that you see, whether it's someone trying to sell you something. In one day. That's
Especially in San Francisco.
It's called a touch point.
Yeah.
So all of these things are ways that we can engage with a consumer. It's a touch point. In one day, how many touch points do you think the average consumer receives?
Oh, man. At least 1,000.
1,000? Okay. Any other guesses? 1,000? Or your best guess? 30,000.
30,000?
30,000.
Wow!
So after I got off on the bus and I walked on my way here, the bus itself had an advertisement on the outside. The bus had at least 8 advertisements on the inside.
In the bus,
right?
yeah.
On if I had a Starbucks cup, right? That's Starbucks re-advertising to me that I should be purchasing their coffee. On the walk over here, there's street signage. There's the banners over there. I'm listening to a podcast. The podcast has advertisements.
Mm-hmm.
Walking over here, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I have this thing and this thing to do. Okay, I go on Instagram. I'm served at least 20 ads. 1 in every 3 posts is an ad. So just walking here, I've probably interacted with 50 different ads. Now ask me which ads I remember. Maybe like
You'll take to the 30.
1, 2 maybe. So of the 30 different times that you might be trying to reach someone, you might not get them. And that's just an important thing to know, because marketing is not selling. Marketing is not, hey, buy this, yes or no. It is, hey, here's all the things that you might know about the brand, so eventually when I come down to selling, when I come down to letting you know that I have this thing, you are ready. You are preparing people to purchase. You are preparing people to engage with you. Do you want me to continue, or which slide do you want to take over?
Yeah, I can take over.
Okay, go for it.
On the other slide too, there was the pro tip to choose a few, and that you don't have to engage in all of the, choose the best that work for you. So we're gonna go. Do you have social media, website? Helping you create content that's doing that, or is it someone else?
So we have, what we're blessed with as a nonprofit is we have the technical team to do the design.
Nice.
We don't have the communication team to do the messaging. So it relies on me, and it depends on my scheduling.
Got you.
That's why we fail. So like, every time they want content, they have to read it until like it's time to write it. So
Yeah.
that's why we fail on the newsletters, because sometimes just the deadline come and we don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
Do you retain them as an agency? Do you have them on retainer?
Most of them are volunteers that are like really
nice.
committed to the organization.
Got it.
Yeah.
Nice, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be
But they're like
overwhelming.
they don't write it. Even the websites, if we want an app, as long as we have our team do the whole work, they can do the stuff for us.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, capacity wise, right, like newsletters may not be something that you want to continue to have your volunteers put time into at the moment, right? Which is fine, you can always come back to it, you can start and stop, right? But once you are doing it, you want it to be consistent. So we'll go through social media first. So as we know, social media allows us to connect with people all over the world, even if we don't want to. Like, so a lot of times our stuff is out there, right? So mastering, posting consistently gets you the best results, especially when you have an algorithm similar to like Instagram, right? For Instagram, to get the best out of the algorithm, you need to be posting every single day, multiple times a day, which is impossible for a lot of us, right? But that's how the algorithm works. So if you want to be a master at that's what you'll end up doing. I think once a day for folks with a limited capacity is fine, but as long as you have some consistency there, where people can look forward to one of your posts, one of your informational posts maybe, once a week, twice a week, right? So pros, free advertising and increased brand awareness. You can also pay, Facebook owns Instagram, so Facebook has a platform where you can create a specific audience for your ads. That way it's not just going anywhere and you're spending all this money for people who don't care about your organization. But let's say you want to target 18 to 35-year-olds, right? In the Bayview community or in the San Francisco community.
Right,
you can
right.
target your ads specifically to that, right? And it won't cost, I think, does it cost more to get that specific or it costs less because it's a smaller audience?
When targeting advertising,
Yeah.
it's based on the amount of people that you reach. So mass marketing, being less specific, but saying I want to reach everyone in a 1 mile radius, that is more expensive than saying I want to reach everyone in a 1 mile radius who is black, in their 40s, and identifies as male.
Yeah.
Because that reduces your population size.
So quick question, how do you know where to target your audience? So like, our program is both here in San Francisco and Nairobi. We find the children in Nairobi use Facebook. We tried that to the kids here. They're like, who uses Facebook here?
Here's the thing. Why do you think that's one target audience?
So that,
Why do you think that's one target audience?
Why do I think that's the one?
Yeah.
So you said it yourself. You said it yourself in Nairobi. Use Facebook.
Yeah,
But when you tried it with kids here,
they don't use it.
they
don't use Facebook at all.
They don't use Facebook. So what is there a point in trying that strategy here? These are two different target audiences that might look the same, but if they use different platforms, you have to market to them differently. Welcome to our
and
jobs.
Facebook, because Facebook owns Instagram, you can go in and create separate ads for that anyway.
We can show you how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that because
But if you post to Instagram, it automatically
Nope.
posts to Facebook.
Nope.
So it can work like that.
They don't
However,
It doesn't have to, but you can.
yeah, it can work like that.
Because he's saying the same thing, it's just that the kids in Nairobi is gonna find it on Facebook.
Exactly.
And the kids
It's
in the
gonna
United
be
States
the
is gonna
same
find it on Facebook.
content, but just,
So you don't have to write different posts,
Yeah.
you just have to make sure it's posted both simultaneous.
So our experience with that is really crazy. When we deal with the kids in Nairobi, we really know how to navigate the whole Facebook. We actually have a whole community on Facebook. We teach through Facebook. We upload
Wow.
videos on Facebook. When we tried that to the kids here, they're like, how do I use this Facebook? I don't know how to use it. And then Instagram is so limiting. So we end up having to do in person because I don't know how to use it. It confuses me a lot.
Yeah.
They upload or sometimes it says it can't take more than a 1 minute video. I don't know how to edit, so it just
Yeah.
annoys me.
yeah.
Facebook can take up to 5, so it's
Think about it. Facebook
That's
has
why
been
you come
around
to-
way longer as well and has more of an international reach.
right.
In other countries where it's taken longer for you, we're in San Francisco. This is the heart of tech user adoption. You see like AI billboards and stuff like all the time.
Right.
People here are more used to the idea of adopting to the new. Internationally, for American apps, they've taken longer to get used to them, but they are more rooted in the apps that they are, which is part of why Facebook is more solidified there potentially.
Yeah. With that,
Okay.
I think if you have any like youth volunteers too, like they could host a workshop for you to help you understand Instagram better.
Yeah.
Like the kids today are it's like on their phones and stuff. Like it's crazy. I see videos on TikTok and I'm like, how, like that would have taken me 2 days to edit. These kids are doing it like as they're filming, right?
Mhm.
It's crazy, and I'm sure they would be happy to have an exchange, right, of teaching and information learning.
And I have a question on that. Is it okay if I ask questions? Because
Yeah.
this is like where we are struggling with. So I tried that with the kids, and I don't know if I'm worrying too much between brand identity first. So this happened actually yesterday. It was Child Labor Day. Kids in Africa cared deeply about that. And so they sent me something that they had designed, and I responded on quickly on a text message. I was like, maybe you don't want to say that, that's too capitalized, make it slower and work. And I think because of the language difference, they took my email and posted it with the
Got it.
with the picture, and 3 hours later it has like 100 likes. I'm seeing my whole email, I'm like, oh my god, man, take this caption that I haven't so that's the thing that I get scared of with, because I've done that even with the kids in our program here in San Francisco. Sometimes we had given someone to take our TikTok, and then one day I looked at it, I was like wondering why we are trending, and then there was a whole different thing that we don't even support, and I'm like, oh my god, no, don't post those things with that. So that worries me a little bit with like seeding control, but I don't know how to do it. I don't micromanage, and I don't know how to do that.
Don't give them full control over it, definitely. Like, there should be a process where you're both working together to plan out content. They're creating the captions, doing all the edits and stuff, but you're critiquing, you're providing guidance, and ultimately nothing gets posted without your approval at the end of the day, right? So complete control is not, I wouldn't recommend that. Unless, this is someone trained that knows, that has worked for y'all for a number of years, that has an understanding of the mission and where your values lie, and has done social media marketing for quite some time, right? Because those apps, that's part of the cons, is like, you could trend for the absolute wrong reason, and because we have this kind of like cancel culture like society, right? People will see, oh, that org supports this, I'm not supporting them at all anymore, and then they're telling all their friends that are wanting to get interested or wanting to volunteer, like, oh, don't volunteer for this org anymore, right? So that's a really, really big con with social media, especially now. The folks are really unforgiving, which doesn't reflect how people are in real life, I find.
Right.
But the internet is forever, and when people look you up, you don't want it to be this org was involved in this scandal for supporting A, B, C, and D. And then you have to make an official statement, and then it becomes all these things. But
Did you delete the video that you went viral for, or is it still up?
No, I deleted it completely.
Oh,
good,
okay.
I freaked out. I couldn't delete it so quick. I was like, I don't want to be known for this.
Okay.
So I freaked out.
But that video had that was the first time we had 30,000 views.
Oh my goodness.
We never had that. And that was
30,000?
it was it ended up being on our newspapers in Kenya because it was posted there. And I was like, nah, we're deleting this.
Yeah.
Do you still have the TikTok?
No, I
it's fully deleted?
everything. Yeah, I deleted everything. I panicked.
That's okay.
That's
I
alright.
woke
I
up
think
in the
you
morning
did
and
the
I was
right thing, for sure.
delete everything.
Yeah.
Deleted everything.
But another pro of social media is that it's easy to interact with your customers or clients. It builds trust, right? Like, people can DM you or message you directly with any questions that they have, and if you have someone that's on it, they can respond. They don't have to go to your website or try to call you. Like, it's easy for that person to see a flyer, have a question on Instagram, and just DM you. They can act as customer service in a sense. And then with social media, depending on what type of account you use, particularly with Instagram, I know Twitter gives you analytics, just doesn't matter, or X rather, gives you analytics regardless of what type of account you have. But on Instagram, if you have a public figure account or a business account, it provides you with analytics to show who's looking at your stuff, when they're looking at your stuff. When they're looking at your stuff, are they clicking on anything? Are they clicking on your links? Is it taking you, are they being prompted to be guided to your website, right? Like that, all of that is incredibly important. That way you can shape your content. If you're not getting the results you want, you can troubleshoot and do something differently. Or you can keep doing what you're doing if it's working, right? So cons, we discussed, possible negative publicity and brand perception, constantly needing to keep up with the trends. The TikTok is big for that. right? Like the trending sounds that come out every week, or the new dances that people are doing that get them millions of views. These aren't like nonprofit organizations, although some of them do play into that kind of playful, like nature of these trends. A lot of them don't, and I think that that's okay. But it's part of the, like, how people get seen on TikTok is by participating in these trends. They click a sound and they're able to scroll down and see all the people that have made videos with this particular sound, right? So that gets you exposure. But it can be a lot. Content creation is also time consuming, depending, it doesn't matter if you're doing video, informational text posts, or, you know, even posting on your story. Like if your content is like curated, which it should be, right? This takes time, and we want to have alignment with the colors, with the brand, with your values, and that long-term planning can be difficult. I think we struggled with it a little bit because our marketing team is like new for YCD. YCD has never had a marketing team prior to 2020, I want to say. So we're new, and it's only 3 of us, right? So this planning and the responsibilities like that, getting that figured out is it's not easy, right? So that's something to consider if you want to have social media be one of your main online marketing platforms.
What's the name of that music note up there? I can't see.
It's just our version of the TikTok app.
Oh,
It's just what we wanted to do to represent TikTok.
So yeah, we skipped one.
Oh, my bad.
So yeah, we talked about some of these. We have Instagram, photos, videos, reels, text graphics. It's a lot of educational content. I think we saw a lot of that coming out of the, post George Floyd movement. A lot of inspirational stuff, and lots of memes, lots of funny stuff. People are on Instagram to laugh. They're on there to have a good time.
That's why I was just getting ready to say too. At first I could not understand what gets views. I
Yeah.
could post something that's powerful, enlightening,
Yeah.
and get 45 people to like it.
Mhm.
And then I could post nothing, like I just say, let me just post this up, and it gets 900 views
Yeah.
and likes, and I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense. But you're right, I think it's more easy, funny, engaging stuff that gets the most.
It depends on even what like your brand voice is, like what you're trying to do. Like some people do follow, I know there's an account that I used to follow called So Informed. And people are following them knowing that they're gonna see a lot of text heavy posts, right? They're not following them I'm not following them for memes, it's called So Informed. I'm trying to be informed, right? But then I'm gonna follow a meme page so I can giggle a little bit while I'm on Instagram. Right? People follow the Shade Room to keep up with celebrities, right? It can be text heavy too, but a lot of what they post is pictures and videos, right? So it definitely depends, but I'd say the best rule of thumb is to make sure you're featuring like faces. I think people's faces. People are more likely to click on a picture or to like a picture, engage with a photo set when you can see faces and like dogs, I think, on Instagram. Yeah.
Like
Kids,
pets.
cats.
Pet content always does well. Again, that might not be relevant for your brand.
Yeah.
But
For sure it is.
yeah, if you
I got a
do
dog with his paw in the air talking down with the system.
in marketing, in social media content, there are the 4 E's. It's evergreen content, things that can be posted any time of any year. It's not specific to like a season or social. Entertaining content, educational, and I forget the other one. Entertaining, educational, evergreen.
And informative.
It'll come to
Almost,
me.
yeah.
I'll
So
Google
it
it
has to
real
start
quick.
with an E.
Uh-huh.
So the evergreen content is what kind of content?
So when you have a content calendar, right? When you plan to put out content on social media, on your email or whatever, if I send you an email about Christmas in July, you're gonna be like, that doesn't make sense. Evergreen content is content that you can push out at any time of the year. It's not specific or tied to a particular thing. If you hear Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, you know, okay, it's Christmas soon. It's associated with a particular time. So if evergreen content is if you have an annual retreat coming up, if you have your annual events coming up, you want to promote it a couple months or a couple weeks before that's there. But you could also post evergreen content, just reflecting back on it whenever you want. But the actual promotion of the thing happens right before. So that's evergreen. Educate, empower, and entertain, and educate, and engage. Engaging content. There's a lot.
Yeah, so things that'll prompt you to like vote in the comments maybe, or
Yeah.
like share with other people, right? Like share to this person that you love them, that you're thinking about them, right?
I did a trick, I did a trick on, not a trick, but I did a strategy to where I saw on social media, if you want to get to 10,000 followers, like all my videos, and I like yours back, and it was something,
Yeah.
and it was in an audio, so I didn't even have to say it. Like I had it connected to my photo and what I wanted, and man, that hit. I got new followers, I got new
Wow.
likes, and that one did like 900 on like a day or so
Posted a video to that audio, is what you're saying?
with that audio,
Got it.
and people, because I got fooled by it too. I was liking the person's video post and said that. I ain't got to 10,000 yet, so I know it doesn't work, but it does give you a couple more followers.
But remember, you don't necessarily want to get to 10,000. For example, we're a nonprofit that specifically markets to the baby community. If I have someone in Japan that knows about us, that's cool, but that's not who we're trying to reach. And if you have 10,000 followers and 1,000 likes on every photo, you can call that a 10% engagement rate, right? Because 10% of the people who follow you are engaging with you. But realistically, that's your observed engagement rate. Realistically, if those 1,000 people are not people who could actually utilize your services, you're diluting yourself a little bit. The goal is not to get 1 billion followers. The goal, it might be for you, it might not be for you. You just have to be specific with what you want. For example, for you, if you are split between Kenya and San Francisco or California, you want to have really strong audiences there. So if you have 1 million, that's awesome. But you should aim maybe for 500,000 there, 500,000 there. For if it's the graffiti space, you might not want to have 1 million followers, but you might want to ensure that on like Art Talk or like Graffiti Talk or like those channels and those areas of the internet, that you're well known in those spaces. Does that make sense? Because we could also just encourage you guys to buy like bots online or buy fake followers, but that doesn't actually add value to what you're doing. Remember what we talked about in adding value to the
fake followers?
Yeah.
It exists.
Yeah.
It exists. It's stupid. I would not recommend it. It's an easy way to get your account banned or flagged or more attractive to other spam bots and stuff.
And if you have 10,000 followers and half of them are bots, you're getting 53 likes on every post. People, I know I used to do it. I used to be like, go into people's profiles to see that they're legit. And if I'm going through your stuff and you're getting 10 likes, but you have hella followers, something is not right here. It
Yeah.
immediately diminishes the trust I have in whatever you're trying to show me.
Yeah, and you can see it, I've seen it too, where you can see who's liking it, right? You can't, you have to kind of like go look, but if, again, I see somebody with so many followers, sometimes like it's a friend, right? So I'm like, yo, look how they get so many followers. I'll go. And you see who's liking, and it's all these profiles with no profile pictures, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're not the real person, or it's all these random photos where it's like, dude, like, are these even real people? And
Yeah.
you know it's not, right? And so that's one of the concerns that arises definitely with the numbers part. And why I feel like a lot of people do kind of veer away from that is because it's like, yeah, I have this many followers, but these are actual people who actually follow. Because there's a lot of people who follow and they never like the post, they never da-da-da. And so it's when you actually really have a follower, you have someone who's looking for your content, looking at your content regularly, and they're doing it on purpose and intentionally. But if they're just a follower and you never hear from them, they never like, they never comment, you know, that doesn't amount for much respect. Like you said, especially if you are looking for a specific audience and market, you want to make sure that those people from that particular market do know about you guys. So like with Level Up, we intentionally like only follow people like from San Francisco and the Bayview and so on and so forth, rather than being like, hey, like it's for everybody. It's like, well, yeah, it is, but it's really specifically for these people because this is the target audience, right? These are the people that we want to know about our events and our ads and stuff like that, and vice versa. We want to know what they're doing. And so it's very intentional with who our audiences are, yeah.
It's not quality and quantity, it's quality and consistency.
I like that. I'm an educator on most of what I do. I try to educate people on the health revolution. I'm shifting from just criminal justice reform and all that. I still do that, but also part of that is you can't live a good life outside of prison if you're not healthy, because bad eating decisions also affect your poor decision making to commit crimes. People don't make that link. So even just sharing with people the color codes of food and what they do for your body. Even if you're a bot, I mean, of course a bot doesn't care, but even if you're not really there for my overall education, I do want to share that with anybody who wants to look at it. And so I do go through my followers and remove like sex worker
Like the
pages.
fake accounts,
Yeah, people who want me to look at their videos. I'm like, okay, I got to do a review. But I've also found that some of those people on those accounts, I go through and I target them to come to my page, because after you get them looking at her videos, come look at mine so that you can be healthy and keep your vitality up so that you can benefit from that.
That's a
whole
strategy, for sure.
And there are strategies. I want to just point to this, and you've probably seen it, where somebody will comment on a really, really popular post, and it's just like, come check out da da da, you know, I sell da 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 da. And I'm like, as silly, nonsensical as that sounds, I'm sure that people are seeing that, again, because it's thousands of likes on this one post, right, or a million sometimes. And it goes like, oh, everybody's looking at comments, and sometimes the comment section is like the funniest part, or it's like, you gotta check out the comments. But
Yeah.
because the comment section is so funny and so engaging, having a comment about your service or about your organization, business, whatever it is, that actually can get people's attention. I don't think it's like particularly dope, but I do know that people do that
Yeah.
frequently.
Yeah.
It's not the most effective, but it's kind of like being at a concert and everyone's like, yeah, we love this artist, yeah, we love this. And you're like, come to my page, come to my Instagram page, I have good stuff. You're
Right.
saying something completely out of the blue. Unless you're contributing to the conversation in a way that's interesting and meaningful. That's why it's
Yeah.
always about the value.
Yeah.
But let's get through a couple of the rest of these slides and then we'll come and chat with y'all one-on-one.
All
Do
right.
you want to move on to email?
we can, yeah, because I
Or do you
know
want more stuff on the...
just a little bit.
Go for it.
So for Facebook, you're focusing on videos, entertaining content, and a lot of it is informational too. We have older demographics, because that's true for the States, right? But may not be true for y'all, which I found also in like Latin America. A lot of people also use Facebook rather than Instagram. A lot of businesses especially will opt for having a Facebook rather than an Instagram. But we have a similar like algorithmic kind of issue here with Facebook, where they're going to promote things that are going to either tug on your heartstrings or make you upset. Because that psychologically, they have produced an algorithm that wants you to keep coming back. They want you to engage as much as you can with the content. And so one way to do that is to have you arguing with people like in the comment section, or to make you cry or make you feel good so you'll share it to your people, right? So that's something to keep in mind. I would not recommend getting on X or Twitter. Great, okay. We don't even need to go through that one. We can skip. For LinkedIn, are y'all on LinkedIn professionally?
Oh, yeah,
Awesome, yeah.
That's the best site to be on.
So similar kind of thing to Facebook, where you can have long text posts, you know, pulling at people's heartstrings, talking about your story, sharing photos, and we see a lot of content on LinkedIn that's, you know, I come from like a first generation like immigrant family. I'm the first one to go to college. Like, I struggle doing this, but ultimately here's how I overcame. People love that type of content on there. So you have folks, you know, that have the time, that are willing to sit down and like write those stories, that are engaging, uplifting, and can connect with people in that way. That would be awesome. It's a lot of also like sharing other people's content, commenting on their stuff, right? Not only just making connections, but like actively engaging, similar to Instagram. So it can be a lot. And then TikTok is a very new, but like very popular app, right? Everybody and their mom is on TikTok, right? That's where a lot of Instagram and Facebook is getting their content from now.
Oh.
It's starting on TikTok, and then I'll see it a day later on Twitter, and then a week later on Instagram, and then 2 weeks later, my dad will send it to me from Facebook, and I'm like, Dad, I saw that 2 weeks ago, right? So TikTok is where a lot of this stuff, a lot of the funny stuff, a lot of the informational stuff. You have to be careful on TikTok because there's a lot of like just people claiming to be experts in something, just saying stuff. You could be one of the reasonable voices out of the many like people who are just on there just to talk. Creating on there also just takes a lot of energy, unless you're just one of those people that sits in front of your phone and just talks for a minute, and you can do that. I can't do that. Somebody can, not me. So we'll go on to email. So yeah, email is also a very powerful marketing channel. It's direct marketing as well as digital marketing that you can promote your business's products or services. And it can help make your customers aware of your latest items or offerings by integrating it into your marketing automation efforts. So that's a quote from MailChimp, and we use MailChimp for our email marketing, our newsletters. So we have an internal one for YCD folks, and then we have an external one. And they both are published monthly. And our external one is mainly an update, like a community update. Like, here's what we've been doing, here's proof, pictures of what we've been doing, and then here's what you can look forward to. So some of the programs we have coming up, some of the services we have coming up, things that people can pull up to assist with or be educated by, right? So some pros, affordable and customizable. MailChimp, I believe, has a free service. You can establish relationships with clients and funders. This is a very professional way of updating, keeping in contact, right? You can get people's personal emails or their direct like business emails and have the newsletter sent to them. Whereas, maybe these people aren't following you on their personal account. Like their social media manager is behind their business account that's following your account. You're not having that direct connection to the people that could be donors or could be volunteers like that. Well, volunteers, yes, but donors, I think, less likely. Or even to collaborate with other organizations. Also, you're given analytics for your newsletters, and you can drive donations. We've definitely used email marketing for, our 50th anniversary gala. So when we have these emails that are not like publicly available of these big time funders, right? We have this list, we were copying it, pasting it, curating content specifically for them and sending it directly to their inboxes, right? Versus them maybe seeing it on their Instagram or on their Facebook feed, right?
So when you get that list from, if it's not public?
Meeting people in real life.
You can also buy lists.
Really?
It's possible. It's more on the corporate side of things. In the nonprofit side of things, you can buy email lists of potential funders.
Do you have a website?
Not particularly. We don't employ that strategy because we leverage more. We're not trying to reach, again, funders from all over the world. We're trying to reach specifically people who can come and see what we do. So that's not a strategy that we employ.
And people we have existing relationships with also,
Yeah.
right? So some cons, these emails can be impersonal and sales driven. Congestion, you're a 0 email girly, I'm like a 16,000 like email girly because I don't delete my emails. I'm not even reading them half the time. Like, I know exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my schedule for the day. I'm looking for discounts from my favorite stores. I was looking for my grades from the last semester, right? Like, I'm looking for very specific things. I'm not looking for, I don't know, like USA grant news. I don't write grants. I don't need that information. But similarly, people are doing the same thing probably with your emails, right?
Yeah.
They don't know who you are, where you came from, right? Yeah, exactly. Easily archived in the trash or just in my case, just there forever.
Forever.
Buying
Do
more
y'all
storage.
use Gmail or Microsoft?
I use email.
Gmail? Okay.
Yeah.
I use Microsoft.
Some people do. We're switching over to Microsoft
What?
in
Is
a
it
couple.
better?
That's a question to ask to our CTO.
Right. That's their
Yeah.
wheelhouse.
That's their thing. But if y'all, do you have business Gmail accounts
Yeah.
or? Okay.
So we switched from Microsoft because we were having issues integrating it with other apps,
Mhm.
and we went to Gmail.
Okay.
And then anyway, we get it for free from Gmail. So
Yeah, I pretty much boycott Bill Gates.
Well, y'all know from Gmail, right? That there's a promotions tab and there's a social tab, right?
Right.
So back in the day, like a couple of years ago, before they created this feature, you were at least guaranteed that it would show up. If you had someone's email and if I sent it to you, you would get it in your regular inbox. Now Gmail auto filters these things out for you. So if I'm Target trying to send over like a coupon or whatever, it automatically goes in a promotions tab for advertising. If Marissa's on LinkedIn and sends me a message but I don't see it on the LinkedIn website, I get an email reminder about it on the socials tab of Gmail. So even if you're sending it, it might not reach the people that you want, and that's a drawback of email.
Yeah, that's why,
So
like you
is
said,
the email
it's a
different from the
relationship.
newsletters? Sorry.
No.
Yeah, because an email can be, I send you an email, hey, this is Tanya from YCD, please consider donating. A newsletter is a more official thing where I'm not acting as a pure representative, it's the organization is reaching out to
Yeah.
you. There's a slight difference in that. And you can do it, again, from an event marketing perspective, or you can send it out as a newsletter, which is an annual, a monthly, a bi-weekly, weekly, daily, whatever, recap of something.
Yeah,
You
the
have to
first one
provide
is
that.
like time, place, and manner also, because like even those messages could be like, again, this person that is emailing me, I don't know who they are, they're addressing me by my first name, what's going on here? Whereas if it's like a newsletter, there's so much more information that you're giving them before they even think to be like, who is this? Yeah, along with everything else, email creation is time consuming, as we talked about before, especially if you want to be in alignment with your brand and you don't want to just be sending out any old email. You want it to look good, to feel good. You want it to be something that people are staying and reading from and not saying, oh, I don't like the way this looks, I'm swiping out. We have websites. So one of the most rewarding benefits of having a great website is that it can help you clearly and effectively communicate essential information about your org. People are more likely to trust an organization that has an official website. So the pros is that there's a lot of, there's a few different platforms that are free or affordable, and they're, the customization depends on, I guess, which plan you have, but for the most part, you can customize it pretty well to your liking. All of your information lives on this website. If you have social media can be very limiting in that way, and so can email marketing. Where you're tailoring a certain message, but your website is where every single thing that you do is going to live, right? There's no character or image limits because you want to include all of these things, and then you can integrate a seamless donation process. You can do that on Instagram and Facebook as well. I think if you have like a special button maybe or a direct link, but often websites will have a little button, right, that will say donate, and then you go straight to PayPal or whatever. That's a really nice feature. However, websites are costly. Again, depending on which plan you choose. I think it's not Wix, but it's Squarespace.
Mm-hmm.
Squarespace gets you a decent amount of customization for free, but if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of the design, then you'll have to pay extra for that.
There's WordPress too, a bunch of other website creation.
And then with everything, it is time consuming to create a website, right? But once it's there, it's there. You're doing regular upkeep and maintenance of it, right? But it's not often that you're doing a complete overhaul on the design and the branding and all of that. So it's I think not more beneficial, but you can compare it to having to constantly create something for social media. Yeah, any questions about those? I know we said we were gonna stop at, it's 12:22.
We're gonna start at 11:45. We have 2 more slides for y'all and then some additional resources, and then we were gonna chat with y'all one-on-one about your organizations. Do y'all still wanna do that? Do you want a quick break? Because I think our cutoff is at 1. If y'all have other stuff to do, we're available. So if the,
Breaks are for losers. Let's keep it.
no break?
Shut up.
Alright, we'll keep going then. Okay, cool.
It gives us snacks, so there's no need for break.
Okay. Cool, so we've covered a couple of different channels that y'all have and stuff that you can use. Now, why are we going to use all of those different channels? We're doing it to build your brand, right? You have your mission and vision statement. You're gonna work on your elevator pitch. We're gonna pick which channels to use. But all of them are not just one-off actions. We do that strategically to build on top of them and move forward in solidifying who you are. So if we take again the market analogy, if I am a fruit seller, I'm selling bananas this time, right? If I just go and show up to the market every single day selling bananas, I start to build a brand. I start to build a reputation, at least, for Tanya will always be at the market at 9 in the morning selling bananas. And then if I go one step forward and I start to put a logo on it. Okay, even if Tanya's not there, if she hires someone else, I see these bananas, I see this logo, I know it's her brand. Okay, maybe instead of coming here every 9 in the morning, every Saturday or whatever, Tanya goes and sells her bananas at other farmers markets, at other local community grocery stores. You start to see it pop up in other places. I can build and expand on that reach from those first initial actions of just showing up every day and being consistent. So all these actions that you tend to do, the very basic thing that you start out with is publicizing your events and programs, right? So that's, hey, I have this going on, come and join, come and attend. It's a very basic thing. When you start to do those things, whether it's your very first Instagram ad, whether it's your first event flyer, all you're doing is validating your idea. So your organization's been around since 2017, I think I saw on the website. How long has your organization been around, William?
Mine, 21.
21,
2021.
cool. So you've had, can I do math? 7 years for your organization and 3-ish years for your organization. When you put that information out about your organization, you have to do a market validation study, right? If you want to help kids in Kenya, if you want to be able to repurpose unsightly graffiti into better works of art for the community or whatever, you have to figure out if there's a need for that first, right? You guys inherently know that there's a need for that, but we as a consumer might not know. So what you have to see is when you publicize your events, do we validate what you say by going, if you're telling me, okay, kids in this area of Kenya at this age need a further educational support, I could be like, no, they don't. But if you put out events and information that make me realize, yeah, of course they do. I validate your idea. I begin to build that trust in you, right? So I build on that. Publicizing your events, you can do that with a real small team. You can do that with a real small budget. We are not asking y'all to spend millions of dollars in ad spend to get millions of dollars of results. You can have like $100 Instagram budget and still see some results. You will see more the more that you invest, but that's not directly correlated with money. It's more correlated with your energy and time and resources, rather than purely on the financial aspect. So with a small person, all you have to do is focus on reaching your intended audience. That's why we talked about a niche. So you have to be really specific with who you're trying to reach, and once you have them, switch focus on someone else, or continue to loop them in with reaching other people. So if your core audience is in Kenya, if your core audience is here, focus on one of them first, really solidify that, and then you don't have to just go and start from scratch somewhere else. You get to build on those actions and get those kids to go and help you, to have your work speak for itself. So that's purely promoting, right? It's like just one piece of the puzzle. But if you have a puzzle and it's just random one pieces, that doesn't have anything, right? That doesn't show you anything. Then we start to add a few more pieces of the puzzle. So have you guys ever heard of the phrase, let me see how to do this, CPA, cost per acquisition? Yeah. What does cost per acquisition mean?
How much you're spending to get the goods?
To get
the goods, the customer?
Exactly. So we talked about those 30,000 touch points to just reach one person, right? So if you spend $100,000 on Instagram ads for a year, and then you spend $10,000 on a radio ad, and then you spend $50,000 for a year on event flyers or whatever, and you do all of that, and by the end of the year you get 50 new customers, for example, and you spend, I don't know, 50 million, right? That's 50 million to reach 50 people. That's 1 million that you're spending to reach one person. That's not effective. That's also not realistic, by the way. That's a really bad ratio. But that's an example, right? Once you get someone, you also have to consider, how do you keep them with you? So that's where remarketing comes into it. Because if you're spending so much time and energy saying, hey, this is who I am, this is Studio to the Third, this is me, this is Emma, this is Emma, you're putting all that energy there, and then they forget about you. You want to remarket to them by, once you've developed that niche, increase your consistency a little bit, right? You've put out a few events, you've put out a few programs, you have data to tell you, okay, this type of TikTok content is actually working and this type isn't. Oh, they really like these emails when I do this and not this. Let me do a little bit more of that. You start to become recognizable for certain things. So I don't think it's in this presentation, but I'll tell you something. When I first joined YCD, one thing I was very intentional about was whenever I could create a graphic which had a face in it, so like a cartoonified face, I would always make that person a darker skinned person of color. Very intentionally. Why? Because we don't see that very often. And if that person was wearing like cartoonified clothes, I always put a really tiny version of the YCD logo on it. So it made it look like they were wearing YCD merch. Actually, I was wrong. You do see it in this presentation over here.
Yeah.
This has actually become a small little thing that I'm known for at YCD, for integrating that into not only presentations that we do, but also in our emails. If I create graphics for there, if I put it on our social media, I always put a little thing there. So even personally, I became known for certain things. You guys in your brands will also become known for certain things the more that you post. You're going to be known for certain colors, the way that you do it, the voice style that you use it if you're doing a video. You gain that recognition, and that might be positive or negative recognition. So you have to choose how you respond to your audience in that, but at least you're developing an audience, right? You're forming your identity, and you're figuring out what your message is a little bit. You've seen creators on social media, you've seen nonprofits start with a very specific purpose, and then they're able to expand to reach so many more people. But if you forget the core of what you do, or if someone doesn't understand the core of what you do, you're ineffectively marketing what you do. You're not ineffectively serving your community, but if I can't have a conversation with you and then leave going, yeah, they do this, and yeah, I know this exactly. How effective am I then as a potential ambassador for your brand, as someone who's engaged with your brand, to then go and spread that word, right? So as those pieces start to come together, we're getting a little bit of an idea of what the picture is. We vaguely know what it is, but as we continue to build upon it, and this is a continuous process. It takes a while to get from here to here to here. Sometimes you go back if you do something that's off-brand, which you can do, you just have to have a reason for doing it. But once you've remarketed to people, you're gaining these longer-term relationships with them, and you start to solidify your identity, right? The picture starts to come into focus. I start to be able to say, oh, YCD? Oh, yeah, YCD is this and this and this. Oh, a Level Up? Oh, I've definitely heard of them. They do this and this. And then without even, I don't have to see a Level Up post. I haven't seen a Level Up post on my feed maybe in 3 days, but I can still tell you what they're about, because I don't need to be reminded of it. It's already in my consciousness. It might not be at the top of my mind, but it's at the bottom of my mind, or it's at the back of my mind. It's still there because we've spent so much energy here so that I'm already in your head, and you have to spend less energy. It's not, hey, this is who I am from scratch. It's, oh, hey, do you remember me? Yeah, you had a great time with us? Awesome. Well, we have this going on. So it's a lot less energy. You can also focus on longer term campaigns. When you're a new organization, you're just starting out with that validation, right? Like, will my nonprofit survive this first year, the second year, maybe even this third year? When you've existed as a brand, you can start to say, hey, we have been around for this many years. YCD had our 50-year anniversary last year. So we get to say, hey, we've been around for 50 years. This is a campaign looking back at what we've been doing for the past 50 years. And we can only do that because we worked on these other pieces before. We did what we did very well, became known in the community for doing that. We let people know that we are doing it, so we're spreading out within our core area. And now we can just say, hey, we're YCD. And people say, I know who you are. And you want people to be able to do that. That also requires a build in the team, a build potentially on your budget, how much you want to spend how much energy it is. You also have the ability to plan. So if I have data saying, okay, cool, I'm really busy as a marketer in October to December, but I'm less busy in January to March. That means I can concentrate my marketing energy, or I can maybe hire an agency, get some interns to specifically help me during this time, and it can be quieter during this time. You can adjust your thing, saying, oh, well, I know that the kids in California don't respond to Facebook as much, but they do on Instagram. Let me adjust my marketing there. So you're gaining that loyalty and you're building a stronger reputation, which means that at some point, people know what you stand for, even if you are not there to say it. So let's say if another unfortunate killing happened in America of some other cop abusing their power on a person of color, right? You don't even have to say it. We will say it as YCD, but you don't even have to say it. That of course we think that is a horrible situation and that we are against the use of institutionalized the justice system penalizing people of color. We know that because we've communicated from the beginning that our brand values stand against that. People know what we stand for. They also know what resources we might have to help and offer if that's possible for us. We have a long history of it. We've talked about it, we've promoted it, and other people know that about us. So people know what you stand for. So that becomes your brand. Does that make sense? I have dressed colorfully like this ever since I graduated high school. Why? Because I went to Catholic school. And I wore a tie and a skirt and everything, and I hated it. But I've worn this since I was probably at 2017 or 2018 or whatever. So for 6 years, I've had people stop me on the street, old high school friends who are like, oh, Tanya, it's you. I'm like, how did you spot me? They're like, girl, I know it's you. Because I have a recognizable brand. Y'all can do that too on your websites, on social media, how you show up as founders as well, how people on your team show up. It can be the language that you use. It can be the team spirit. On EPA JRT, there's a comment. Have you guys met Doc? Doc Mitchell Smith? Dr. Mitchell Smith?
No.
He's part of our EPA JRT program. It's a training program run by the Environmental Protection Agency, getting them ready for a janitorial training. A technician type training. There's a saying that Doc says, which is, I can, I will, and I must. And it's the way that he motivates all the team members. The program's been running for 11 or 12 years now. It's the most recognizable thing from their program. They all graduate, but they graduate with the same that Doc instills in them. And it's become a part of their brand. So you can engineer a lot of these things, but sometimes they'll pop up organically as well.
Yeah.
Just know that the actions that you're doing, don't focus on a one-off big push. Make sure that they all build on top of each other. And to that end, there's a variety of different marketing tools. We've already mentioned a couple of them already, and these are just the general logos for them. Are there any that you guys don't recognize right now? I'm just going to move my hand. Stop me if you don't recognize it.
PS?
Photoshop.
What's that?
iMovie.
Oh yeah, that's
Final Cut Pro. These are all video editing software. MailChimp.
I used to call MailChimp Monkey Mail, but
Monkey Mail? Sure. Well, they used to be SurveyMonkey back in the day. ChatGPT.
yeah.
Do you know this one?
An owl.
It is an owl, but are these three recognizable?
No.
That's Hootsuite, Buffer, and HubSpot.
I should have known Hootsuite. I used that a long time ago.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah. So then you already know what Hootsuite does. It's a social media and content scheduling planner software. Monday also, which is that colorful logo at
The three
over there,
colors.
yeah, the three colors there. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all these social media also have their own native scheduling in the actual social media itself. I can go to LinkedIn and say, LinkedIn, publish this post at 2 p.m. the next day tomorrow. I can also, if I want a bigger overview, and if I want content to be published on multiple different platforms, use one of these tools, which have paid versions and free versions, and say, cool, here's this thing, post it on these platforms at this different time of day and this different time of day. So you can tweak it to different things.
I use Wix and the other W, but what's that one in the middle at the bottom?
Wix, Squarespace, WordPress, and then this is Neil Patel Digital. This is the one that nonprofits know about the least. Neil Patel is a search engine marketing wizard. He's very, very well known for being incredibly knowledgeable on how search marketing works. But he has a website, neilpatel.com or neilpateldigital.com, I forget which one. You can go and search any keyword and see what that search volume is. So if I search for Christmas, I'll get a search volume of maybe 25 million. Meaning a search for Christmas yields, maybe on Google, 25 million different results. I can also see during an average year, or even this past year, right? From February to like August, Christmas is hardly mentioned in content that gets published out during that time. But I might see more content being published with the word Christmas or about Christmas closer towards actual Christmas. So you can start to see if I have this event coming up, I can promote it at certain times and I can try and rank higher in a search engine for those certain things. So making sure your website is optimized with adding in the keywords that people are going to search for, using this can be helpful for figuring this out. It's really, really technical. You can hire someone to do it as well. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it so that at least digitally and algorithmically, you will be known for what you want to be known for. Then other organization, Google, ClickUp, Trello, I forget what that one on the right, Asana, there are a bunch of different project management tools. You can use these, so if you're starting to manage a team or if you even have volunteers, if they're longer term consistent volunteers, they can all get together with you, and instead of Zoom calls of, okay guys, what are we gonna do? You can put it on a project management board like that, saying, hey, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this. Okay, until you two finish that, we can't move forward on this. So you have it a little bit more organized.
Would you consider Slack part of organizational management?
Yeah, Slack, we use Slack all the time for like quick messages and stuff. Slack, if you are using a free version though, you will only be able to see your three months worth of your most recent messages. After 90 days, it hides the content that you had. So it's better to keep it somewhere where it's either a free tool with a lot of storage or places where you have permanent access to that information. You don't want to put a password in your Slack of like, hey, I created this new account, here's a password. And then 6 months later, you're like, hey, what's the password to that? I don't know, and then you can't access it. Anything else you want to add on tools? ChatGPT, do you
Yeah, I
want
was
to
gonna say we got a response in the form about utilizing AI for optimization, and ChatGPT is a great like free resource. It's okay depending on who you ask, right? Like you'll get I love ChatGPT. Like it's free, it comes up with responses immediately. But I've used like the paid version and it's so much better. However, we talked about like boycotting, right, earlier. Wix, depending on what your politics are, people are boycotting that currently because they're
in Israel?
they're Israeli owned. So yeah, even the organization that I volunteer with outside of like working with YCD, we're switching our website from Wix to Squarespace right now. But ChatGPT on that point is not environmentally friendly, right? Like
Electricity uses a lot of energy.
The amount of energy that is used to generate these AI responses is it's incredible, and it's harmful, right? So it's like you gotta decide what you're.
In what way?
Like digital servers that you're holding all this data on. There's a reason why it costs money to have like more memory on something, because that's like that's hardware that you have to store somewhere. So there are places in rural America where they are bulldozing towns purely to set up energy centers.
Oh, jeez.
It's a lot of resources.
It's in rural America?
Rural America, they're trying to outsource it to places that are more sparse and less populated. Because it just needs to be
It says
hosted
rural
somewhere.
America, I don't know.
That's fair. Well,
I'm just kidding.
taking Maurice's example with Wix and Squarespace, you can see Squarespace is 100% going to get a lot more business this year because of what's happening politically with Israel-Palestine. But also specifically, Wix is not only hosted in Israel, or is an Israeli company. They have certain values that they stand for, to the point where people know what they stand for. If you are for Israel, you're probably going to still keep Wix, or you're going to switch over from Squarespace to Wix. The same thing is happening inversely, right? If you don't say something, people will assume what your brand is for and act off of that. If you do say something, people will react off of that and then act off of that too. So that's part of why your brand is so important. It tells people what to think, even if you're not there. But also part of your brand is vocalizing what you are about as well. Cool.
Yeah.
Bad news for ChatGPT.
Yeah.
All the different AIs use a lot of different energy.
Even Google is not like a, they're not that good. They've got their own AI service now, Gemini. You've seen it. Like if you searched anything recently, Instagram and has it for some reason in the search AI as well. I don't know what that's about. It confused me when I was still on Instagram, but I think if those, there's always a give and take. Always, there's always like a both and, right? So, depending on what your values are and what your organization's values are, that'll determine where you do business and where you don't, right? So, yeah, so we've got additional resources. We were also asked to provide some to provide some like resources in regards to marketing. Some free ones, Community Boost, which is a digital marketing agency for nonprofits. TikTok and YouTube are great free resources. There's tons of professionals in all kinds of different areas, all kinds of different sectors that are ready and willing to, if not just provide you free information, but to maybe sell you a guide also. So I'd be careful with that. But yeah, YouTube is good for learning in general. They call it like YouTube University. I've got degrees in all kinds of stuff from attending YouTube University.
All kinds of
And then something we were a part of was the Nonprofit Marketing Summit. So we attended that. That was completely free. It's virtual, so we didn't have to go anywhere. And I don't know, we took away a lot. I don't think we attended this year. It was, what, 2 years ago?
Oh.
Last year? It was a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's been a while.
It's been a while.
But we've been using the stuff that we've learned just
Yes.
ever since then.
Yeah.
Just building on that.
And it's professionals, having like workshops and seminars regarding different aspects of nonprofit marketing. I was particularly interested in ethical storytelling. Then we have the Institute for Nonprofit Practice, and they offer programs that you can apply to be sponsored for. The prices range, if you're going to do the paid version, from like $1,200 to $3,500. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. So you can get funding for it basically, which is what's going to make it free, right? Like you.
I already started scribbling that out.
Yeah, there's a couple of folks in YC who were kind of I think it was it's like a young leaders program around social impact. But you had to have like managerial experience, and so the folks that were eligible for that had their interviews, or probably are still having their interviews. But they'll be sponsored to be a part of that program, which starts in September. I think it's a 6-month program, and you meet like 3 to 5 hours a week, and have homework and assignments and stuff. But you're learning a lot. Like it covers like a great deal. So that's, can be free or paid depending on if you can get the funding for it. But then we've got Coursera as well, and that is $59 a month. Yearly, it's almost $400. Another online learning platform that offers courses, certifications, and degrees from universities and companies all around the world. So lots of folks are using that. It's incredibly helpful. Our supervisor, Christina, who's not here today, and myself have done some, what are they called?
Courses.
Have been working on, earning a certificate in, what is the actual word for it?
License certification program.
No.
Knowledge, experience.
I don't know what the word for it's like a word that, not like a buzzword, but project management. There we go, and project management. But they have all kinds of stuff. Like when we say degrees, like actual degrees that you can earn online through Coursera, through that subscription. Some of them you do have to apply to if it's from a university. But for the most part, once you start your subscription, you can go in and start learning at any point. A lot of it is self-paced also, which is great for, entrepreneurial folks that, make their own schedule or don't have a set schedule throughout the day, so.
And I know budget-wise, it seems really scary. Marketing is a revenue-generating part of business. You might not see immediate results. If you want immediate results, hire salespeople. Because they will quantitatively tell you, yes, I got these many people to sign up, this many people to this, right? Marketing is about that larger storytelling piece that does what we were mentioning before, right? It builds on all of these things. We're setting you up for the long term. And you don't need to pay us because we work through Level Up. But it's worth investing, if not your own selves, in these free marketing tools, but potentially in some of the paid ones, or getting a certain group of people under you. College interns are a great way of getting lower cost but high growth marketing opportunities. If you need something done right and done well, hire an experienced marketer. I've seen my specialties in small to medium sized businesses. I've seen tons of small businesses lose out on 3 times the amount of money they did because they didn't hire a skilled marketer and went for the cheaper option at the time. It's better to have that investment, choose the right investment, but it's better to have that marketing investment up front to reap those benefits than try and do something halfway and then say, oh, it didn't work out. It didn't work out because you did it only halfway. So it's just worth considering that. I know we have 10 minutes left time-wise. We're still happy to chat with y'all. Do y'all have to go at 1 sharp or?
I have a 1:15, but I can still.
Okay, no worries. Well, that's the end of our presentation. We'll break off and chat with y'all then now about anything that you want marketing support on.
Yeah, and any immediate questions, maybe things that we didn't touch on?
I'm trying to find out what platform we use for my nonprofit. And what I see in the search is a square with a vine and 2 little square white dots. Do you know what that logo stands for?
When you show me.
Are we going to get a copy of this presentation?
You know what that is?
Absolutely, yeah.
Ooh. No, but if you take a little screenshot, you can reverse Google image search it.
Okay.
You can. I would say one thing for you is I was just quickly looking at your website. What connection do you have with tea?
Because that's what we are like the second largest producer of tea in the world.
So did you know that that's
Okay.
not mentioned anywhere on the first page of your website?
Yes.
No, I'll
The country, Kenya is, that's why we use the word tea. Because
But do the people who are trying to reach you know that? Like, if I just see this as your homepage, right? I think, okay, there's a religious aspect, there's a familial aspect, there's potentially a queer aspect here, this looks like someone officiating a marriage, just the intergenerational aspect. We nurture possibilities. And I see you potentially planting tea, but there's no mention of what tea is in relation to y'all. If someone already knows about you, then this website is very well set up. If they don't know anything about you, they have no idea what it is. I might even think that's an acronym, potentially. And I know you go into it a little bit more when you go to your purpose and your about page. When someone's coming over here, it's because they want to get a big overview of who you are. The rest of the webpage does a good job of directing them to other parts. But if I just scroll through this, I don't have a sense of who you are unless I go into the other things. So you're missing out on people who are not necessarily inclined or attracted enough to go and look into the other parts of the website. If they do, that's awesome. Just something to consider, because you have it in your logo as well. But this almost looks like it's like a Latino word, because it has like an accent. But that's not part of your...
no. So actually that's an acronym. MLIFE means Low Income Families Endowments.
But is that mentioned on this first page?
No, thank God I would not mention that.
Well, it's something to figure out. you have those new people, right? If someone knows who you, it's the same thing for YCD when we were reworking the YCD page as well. We say who we are from the beginning, right? We aim to do this, and if you scroll down, you see very specifically what our 4 pillars are, special initiatives, blah, 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 and everything. We also have our things. We hit you with the numbers first. And it's in our name, it's young community developers. So we have to do less of an effort to break down like what MLife stands for example, or what YCD stands for. If you go to us, we have a very clear story of who we are. We also have a video the same as you. We also have a story similar to you, but it's more word heavy. Yours goes through a different order from that elevator pitch. Over here, it's good that you have a landing page though. This is beautifully designed. Like the graphics are really cool.
That's the guy who works for us.
That's cool.
Very expensive guy too.
Yeah,
That's all
but you can
money in
see the
world.
effort is there because it's very polished, very, very well designed there.
So is this, I think this is the challenge of facing right now. This is a writing. We have a compute problem, not a design problem. And that has been a challenge for a long time.
The
To
copywriting.
get someone to the copy in such a way that it will flow. So these are the opportunities because we haven't